因为我们现在主场在重庆嘛，虽然我之前也没有来过重庆，但是我觉得这也对我来说也是一个新的挑战嘛。然后我觉得在重庆主场的话，我们可能比赛会更有信心嘛。
Well, if you've listened to the crowd in Chongqing, there's no doubt about that. They are right behind Snake Esports, and they've come close. They were one game away from picking up the victory at the home stadium on their opening. We're not able to do so against FunPlus Phoenix. Now they're 1-0 up against EDG. Potentially could do it here, but I really want to talk about his opponent, Ray. I know you have a few choice words about this, Clement.
Man, can they just let Ray be, man? Let him pick his champions. You know, they're banning the Vladimir, the Camille. I feel like they're giving way too much respect to Flandre when he's solo killing it on Ornn as a tank.
You heard my client. Let him go. Let him go. Get the ribbon in there. I don't know how else he plays. Jarvan, I suppose. It's fun to see that happen. How he's able to kind of have so much dominance in lane. So I think it's a new style for EDG. They're not too used to it yet. They had Mouse in the top lane. They've had like so many top lanes come and go for the team. And I think Ray brings in a unique carry style. I want to see more of it.
Yeah, because we mentioned very early on the desk that, he hasn't fully been unlocked yet. He was a Riven player, only been playing tanks, had that one Rumble game as well. His opponent, Flandre, picked up the game plan, did well on the champion, and had Gathering Storm. The other player in the team was Cassiopeia, and this is someone you really wanted to talk about, Raz.
Cassio is an interesting champion because it kind of makes the late game team fights, or at least like mid game team fights, a lot harder to kind of move into. I know when a lot of people look into the current meta, they think about Ryze, they think about Azir, maybe Malzahar, not so much Cassiopeia, but Cassiopeia does well in certain portions, certain windows in the laning phase, so you can get past those, and then it works just as well as the others, especially Azir, in transcending those late game team fights. So I think that Cassio is one of the nicer champions to look towards, and you have a great utility with Miasma.
Yeah, I think you really have to talk about the recent patch that really did buffer combo damage off. Now you can cast it for less mana, and you also do 0.1 extra AP on that trades. We've always known this as kind of a counter pick against Azir, but it's always been really difficult to pull off. Now we're seeing it even more in the LCK and the LPL as well.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if we do see more Cassiopeia later on. It's the Snake buff, essentially. Snake Esports need to play the Snake champions at their Snake arena. So too many Snakes and Summoners for that. The last thing I kind of want to touch on with you, Clement, and we will be talking about this for a little bit, I have a feeling, is that throughout that entire game, despite all the leads that Snake had, the question was always, how was Snake going to lose this? And they didn't.
Well, if you watch the EDG, the series they had against EDG, the way they lost a 12,000 gold lead was Ryze suddenly opened a realm warp, and only 3 people got in there. The other 2 were left to die. And so that was like, okay, Ryze is not there, so how are they going to lose it? Because this is a common theme for Snake. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Snake, they have leads, gold leads at 10 and 20, but only a 34% win rate. So a lot of things can go wrong for this team during the macro phases of the game.
Yeah, I would say that last year when we saw them quite frequently when they had Crystal in the support position, they would get a lot of leads. I mean, we talked a lot about Lee Sin and Thresh being a combination. It was because it was getting with them a lot of early game leads just based off that combination. But then they wouldn't be able to go to the next step in the game, the mid to late portions of the game, just because there would always be that one person that sees that one guy, and you're like, maybe we can get a fight. We didn't plan this necessarily. We don't necessarily have our top laner ready for this call, and then that's usually when team fights start going awry. This is one of the team fights now we're seeing in the last game where these team fights are working well for Snake. They're well communicated. I hope it really comes back in game 2.
Yeah, I hope the newbie trick doesn't work against them, because what newbie did was they dangled their support in the jungle, and they were like, Snake, come get it! And they would just come in and kill all of them.
And on the flip side, the reason why that point was echoing on, so to speak, towards us was the fact that when we started talking about EDG on the desk, when we opened up the show, was EDG are very disciplined. They are a very good macro-based team, so surely this sort of deficit with Snake's track record was not going to be too tough for them. But Snake were able to hammer it home. They picked up the victory. What happened with EDG though? Because we did see the discipline. We saw them pick up the kills in the bottom lane. We saw some form of their macro play, but it just didn't really pan out.
To me, I don't really like the Azir emphasis for Scout. I feel like he tries to force too many early plays on that, and he's not careful enough with how his positioning is. Scout as a player, he's always looking for that big play, so he's always looking for the Shurima shuffle in the backline. And I kind of feel like this places him in a bad position. I would much rather have him on the rise, more steady pick, and a pick that he can use his macro play to influence the entire map.
I mean, I agree. It works really well with his style in the sense that he's playing Azir essentially as he's playing LeBlanc, right? That's just how it is. He knows that's his style. But I want him to learn the the Azir pick just because of how strong it is currently in the meta.
True.
At some point, you got to learn to show he's had a struggle early in the first few games he's had with it, just in the early portions of the game, because he is getting caught out quite frequently. But I'm sure he'll come along. I think that he's been one of those mid laners that sure he finds himself in these awkward positions, but he somehow adapts with a specific champion. This time he's got to learn with Azir.
Yeah, let's see if he can do just that heading into the game. So now 1-0 up Snake going up against EDG, brand new match. We've talked about what's happened. We've talked about what we expect to change. However, is it still an EDG dominant matchup? Is this still a matchup where we go in and think, you know, even though they're down one game, EDG should be able to take this home?
I would say so. I feel like the starting ban picks for Snake were actually very disadvantageous. They had to ban out Zoe, Gogo doesn't play it, and Alistar Kalista, they actually had to ban themselves. So this is setting up for a kind of weird scenario where if they don't get the side selection they want, I actually feel like they will kind of fall apart in the draft somewhat.
And honestly, if you think that Snake are coming into this game too as the favorites, then you just have faith. That's just all you have. And maybe a little bit too much faith, because EDG, even in game 1, had a very strong early game lead. No way you can else put it, right? Exactly. 5-1, honestly. It just came down to the fact that every lane was winning, and then the jungler, even SOFM, gets caught out. So those are where the problems kind of came out for Snake specifically. Hopefully the early game's a little better.
Well, let's see if Snake can continue the trend here, pick up a good victory here over EDG and pick up the 2-0, or if EDG can make the comeback and make it a 2-1 eventually. For now, though, we're going to send over to our casters. It's Pulse and Cranberry.
新赛季我觉得我最大的进步是更为团队着想了，想着怎么去帮助团队建立优势这种东西。然后新来的新 AD Light 的话，他也是一个非常强的 AD， 就是我们的不同是可能我经验比他多一点，然后也很享受和他竞争的感觉。
Oh, you're
Cheers,
calling
Fish, and
Cranberry.
I'm here with Cranberry. How's it going? The surprise rush hour coming at you. How you doing? How's you doing? That was a bit of a run here to do from the analyst desk.
Yeah, a little bit. You were surprised that there was one person named Cranberry? Well, here comes number 2.
It's a raspberry. That's
Okay,
what we've
that
got on
works.
the
That works.
That's what we've got on desk. But we're getting into the second champion select, Snake and EDG. Though EDG, as you guys were saying, probably still coming in as the favorites here.
Yeah, EDG, I already talked about it just a minute ago on the desk, just about how strong they were in the laning phases. And even though we're kind of portraying Snake as a strong micro team, that is true. But EDG is a very strong micro team as well. So it feels like even in the strength that Snake has themselves, EDG can match it, maybe even succeed it.
All right, Raz, we've got some recapping to do. So to shoot through the bans, we had Zoe, Alistar, Kalista, Nar, Camille, and Vladimir so far from the first phase of bans. And then Jarvan, Braum, and Rise from Snake. On the opposite side, got the first lock-ins of Azir, Ornn, and Gangplank.
Yeah, a lot of respect towards Flandre, just like game 1. But what I do love is the fact that Flandre, or at least Snake, respect Ray and take Jarvan first. I know Jarvan has just been a jungler through and through, has been the best jungler, I guess, competing with the Sejuani in the meta. But that's just been what Ray has been known for, the AD Jarvan player, and is still damn good in the top lane too, so take it away from them.
At the same time, Rumble will be banned away from Snake, which is very interesting because we were talking about Ray and we need to unleash Ray. Well, he's going to get the Gangplank this game anyway, but in fact, Rumble was very much the pick that had been banned out against EDG here. On the opposite side, we're going to have the Ezreal ban from Snake.
Yeah, I love the fact that they picked away the GP as well, just because Flandre's done so well with it. Last game specifically, it was just so much zoning tools that Snake had, so taking just that one pick away is going to do them a lot of good.
And back over to Snake now, as that was a Varus ban from EDG targeting the champion pool of Crystal. And then Snake on their final ban. What do you expect it to be, Raz?
The final ban, I'm just going to... I guess they need to look towards an AD carry pick, so... Oh, no!
You can't just wait down the timer and then be like, ah, I knew it.
I can.
Sejuani.
Oh, I was wrong anyways! It wasn't even anywhere near an AD carry.
Disaster.
Oh, you know what? I couldn't even, you know what? Sad face. They should have banned an
They
AD
should have
carry,
banned
I'm not
like
going to lie.
Hogmore, for
Yeah,
example,
they really should have.
because it's iBoy on the other side.
Yeah, so I just feel like even though they went towards the Sejuani ban, Sejuani is such a good ban anyways, or at least a good pick.
Yeah.
I still feel like taking away more AD carries pinching the pick for iBoy would be a much more beneficial idea, strategy.
Yeah, because now it's the Cogbot on the side of EDG, and they can look to scope the rest of the composition. It will be a jungler now as well. We'll see if they put like a tank in the front line, but they already have the zoning from Azir that he also gives in these team fights.
Yeah, at the very least, if you're Snake now, you can go towards a Tristana as their AD carry, just because you have the Braum. It would be a good idea just because now you have an angle to, like, within the laning phase, just to be able to jump on iBoy if that's the plan. I haven't seen this pick in a very long time, actually.
Jace? Jace comes in. We'll have to see if he's into the top lane, mid lane. You have to assume top lane because Ryze is already picked up.
It's a very good pick up against the GP, so that's going to be a good strategy for Snake to be able to just focus on the top lane and see if you can kill Ray how many times.
Yep. Looking towards this final pick, it should be an AD carry. Oh, he's a madman.
He's done it.
He sees that Cogmore. I raise you a vein, says Crystal.
I would be much more excited if I didn't already see this pick coming from Crystal a little bit a while back. So if you saw the Snake set in their first set in Chongqing, then you saw the kind of 80 carry duels that were happening. And Crystal was pretty damn good in the pick, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, fair. But he's got that, plus the Braum next to him, and he's playing into iBoy's Cogmore. So best of luck to him, honestly. See if we can get out of that laning phase unscathed.
Yeah, the laning phase should just be fine because it's going to be a Targon duel, you know. I just don't want him. Here's a small tidbit, just a little bit me sniping on Crystal. Do not upgrade that into Face of the Mountain. He did it last game when he was on Varus. He literally had Face of the Mountain as an AD carry. Please don't do that. Sell the item, or at least hold on to it. I don't care. Just get a real item at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But going back on topic, it's a very safe bottom lane regardless. Tanks in the bottom side of the map. It seems like this time around, Mako is going to get Ornn again. Both of them, it should be a Quadra, I guess, Targon's bottom lane, just being able to heal up as much as possible. So there's not going to be much happening there. The focus should now be on the top side of the map, where Jace is being picked for Flandre. He's going to have the support of SOFM and maybe even Gwoko if he has a good lead in his lane. So it should be on Haro to try and upset that as much as possible. Either go get out of your way to be able to protect that lane, counter gank for it, or cut mid lane. And I think mid lane is going to be important because if it's just a 2v1 top, that's fine.
Yeah.
GP can save that for himself, or he can just at least eat some pressure. But if you can go towards the mid lane, make it so Ryze never gets there, Ryze is the problem, and now your mid laner's up ahead, I think that's the proper strategy. So I'm really interested in how Haro plays this game.
Exactly, and plus we get to see Ray on Gangplank as well, instead of him just being on the tank picks over and over and over again. He actually gets to play a carry pick, though. To be fair, we'll be seeing more of him in the mid game when he starts getting into those skirmishes, but still, it's good to see Ray on some he can do a bunch of damage with. Flandre, though, facing that one down as Jace will be a very interesting matchup, because Jace does have a good matchup into GP.
He does, and we haven't gotten to see much of him in the new meta, and or at least on the new patch, preseason patch, call it what you will. Just to fill you guys in, a lot of Jaces do go airy on the top side of the map, just because it's consistent damage, so you're not going to be seeing Comet, unless if there's something I don't know, and maybe press the attack if he's somehow trolling. But we will see airy just because that's how life is. You pick Jace up the top lane, you just go towards serrated Dirk, and you try and just chip a guy out.
Almost certainly what we'll see in the top lane, and it just makes it even harder for GP just to try and survive. So he will need some help, as you said. Haru will be tracking his early movements as we get into the second game, and my god, this crowd, they are so hyped for Snake, and also they won game one, so why not just keep up the hype rolling?
Yeah, I gotta love the crowd here. I remember when the stadium prices, or at least for the seats, got released, and you were looking towards Hangzhou, looking for OMG Stadium, all of these stadiums, you're like, man, which price is gonna come out at you? It was actually Snake's. It was actually a very cheap price to be able to come in and sit down, and so that's going to be filling the crowd. That's one point. But also, Snake just has dedicated fans. Yeah. You can see it, you can hear them coming at it. So not only do they have cheap seats in a lot of cases, so they're already much more grateful for the organization for allowing them to watch this game, but you know, they were already fans to begin with, so now you just made a few fans into fanatics.
But frankly, respect to the fans, because they've gone through some rough times, especially in this last year.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a Snake fan, but the fact they've stayed with them, and now they might be rewarded if Snake actually pick up the second game against EDG. Imagine if they 2-0 EDG in their home stadium.
Insane. Don't say that again.
I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying this is a possibility. Don't discount it.
Quiet.
That was a risky auto attack. All right, Haru is going to go through his jungle. Will we take the wolf camp? He will actually go onto the wolf camp.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Mostly because some junglers, I would say half the clears that I've seen, have been junglers going from straight blue buff to red buff. Just those two start, just because it's the safest way in doing so. Then you can back in towards your Raptors or Wolf Camp, wherever you start, just because then it's on the enemy jungler to invade a little bit more deeper to try and find you. It kind of messes you up. But Haro taking Wolf Camp is going to be pretty sad when he realizes that his red is gone.
Yep, Haru turns around and up. SOFM, he has Blast Comb. He's not going to use it. He's going to turn back on towards Haro. I mean, he has the red buff right here, and now he's going to disengage. Gets over the wall.
That's hilarious. Best thing about that, too, is that Haro doesn't have red buff, so he's not going to be regenning a damn thing. Sure, he's just going to be eating potions, but that's going to be a harder clear for him. Meanwhile, SOFM is going to be much happier because he had red buff, so he's going to be healing up the little bit of skirmish that he had.
But this should be now a triple buff because it's not like Haro can just waltz into the enemy jungle and take that red buff now. So SOFM should just beeline towards it and just take that one too.
Yeah, 100%. SOFM is the worst kind of jungler. The type of jungler to just cheese you on your first camp.
Yeah.
So now that he's going to have a good time there, I wonder what build he goes towards. Last game he went towards a tank build just because, you know, that his entire composition was based around late game team fighting. This time around, you look towards the top side,
yeah.
It looks like there could be a snowball there, and if he's already this far ahead in the game, why not?
There is a snowball opportunity for sure, and especially when he wants to try and influence, especially top and mid lane. I mean, bot lane's probably going to be permanently at 100% HP, but the rest of those lanes he can influence. Haru will, at the very least, get the crab taken over to his side on the bottom side of the map. They're going to be exchanging Scry's plumes as well.
Catch him out. Here's the thing, Gogor probably doesn't care too much about that. He has a spell book, so he should, or at least it just depends on how he deems the button. Now, yeah, he's immediately just going to go TP. I was like, all right, you know, maybe you can save it. Maybe you can just hold on to heal and walk in if you don't think that you're going to get immediately pushed in on. He doesn't even give a damn. He's not going to look at the wave.
Oh, he's all good. And you can see pretty much how this matchup goes in the top lane. Ray just gets poked, and he just has to stand there and take it. Sometimes he can just parlay, but more often than not, he just wants to try and farm this one out because he's now run out of Corrupting Potion.
Yeah, and so because of what happened in the mid lane, it actually impacts what's happening in the top lane. Because Rise was able to TP back into the lane as tier, and now an item advantage onto Scout, he should be able to push this lane a little bit easier, have an edge on the matchup just a little bit. That means that Flandres should be feeling safe in terms of how he's trading, and Haro should not be able to really impact it.
Now taking our first look at the bottom lane. Hoodie and Crystal plus Mako and iBoy pretty much equal farm on both sides. And as you predicted, just Relic Shields left, right, and center.
Yeah, don't show me this bottom lane. I'm sorry, I know the Observer doesn't hear me.
Bot lane is the new top lane.
Yeah, it really is. So boring. It's only hype when they have items and they're leaving the lane. That's it. That's why Kog'Maw and Vayne exists. Small rant over.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see them towards the mid game and the late game. That's when they'll start popping off. But top lane, Ray at some point will have to go back to base. He just have the teleport. His goal right now is just to not die.
Yep, and it's easy for him to just kind of stick by there just because Haro's pathing topside. He just took Krugs. So he had the ability to kind of save him out if there was a possibility of SOFM kind of going in on him. So now that Haro is pathing towards the bottom side of the map, it's a good time for Ray to just base.
SOFM again moves towards this top side, and I just realized that SOFM's on blue side once more, so he's looking at his bush. This is his bush. This is happy place. Haru's saying, get away from this bush. It's on my side of the map.
Good challenge, good challenge. SOFM should not be too free to just walk in on a Kha'Zix. Just like that. Get out of there, SOFM. I don't want to see this.
I don't want to see your face around these parts.
Oh, he has a Jace. Just kidding.
Yeah, they win that 2v2, unfortunately. Haru backing away. There's actually a pink ward right there. And again, here comes the contest, and Haru can't step near it.
This is what I love about Snake. See, last year when they were a pretty bad team, what I really liked about it, or at least liked about them, a good aspect, was how they played out their early games. I know Clement was talking about how their early game leads were really impressive. It was oftentimes because of how Flandre was able to move towards SOFM's position. If he needed help towards controlling Raptors, Flandre is already there. With his Rumble pick, whatever pick he has. Oh, here we go.
Found SOFM, and Scout used the ultimate, but it has been flashed away from. SOFM will get out alive. In fact, SOFM didn't use his flash at all, and neither did Guogo, so they just walked out of his ultimate.
Yeah, definitely should have used it if Scout hit his ulti, but he didn't. No one else saw that.
Nope.
No one needs to see it.
And Scout used his own flash, so that's even more unfortunate. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what we wanted to see from Snake, right? Because we know they're not going to win on macro, but what they can do is win on these skirmishes, these micro objectives, and that's what Snake really will play towards. And there's nothing that Haru can really do about it. He's level 4 right now, and I don't think he's had a camp in like I don't know, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wonder what he's going to see here. Jesus.
Oh, they found SFM. He was recalling on a ward, but he still doesn't get that kill, even with Ray's ultimate.
He couldn't get this last auto off. Had he done it, that would have been super good, but just really unfortunate. Really good vision to catch him sitting in the bush, but just couldn't capitalize on it.
It just feels bad. Haru still hasn't found the camp. Like, he's only just turned level 4.
Yeah.
Like, SFM, I wouldn't be surprised if he's halfway towards 6.
He just made a risky play, because you go in for an invade when you have a full clear just behind you. Look at his wolf camp, look at his blue, look at his grump. He could have taken all of that, but he saw the kill looking room. So he's lost a lot just for that look.
They'll never expect SFM to go for the red buff while he's at critical HP.
He's so cheesy. You don't even have any HP. If Haru sees you, what are you doing, buddy?
Oh my. He's so low, but he's got Flandre coming in, and he'll reset the red buff.
Excellent.
Haru still hasn't taken the camp. He's at the exact same XP he was 3 minutes ago.
Scout can move first, though. That's the real issue. With that being said, Gogo still has his ulti.
Oh,
Worst comes to worst. Yeah, there we go. Sad days for Haru.
This is a horrible game. This is just one of those games where you get dismantled. It feels like everyone is playing against you. You're playing against the enemy jungler and the top lane and the mid laner at the same time.
You just made a good point, but did you just say horrible?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You didn't need to draw attention to it, but now you have, so I'll take that praise.
Apologies.
And there's the interaction with the Ram coming in and just immediately just disappears because Unbreakable.
Yep, I love Braum into the pick. A lot of teams aren't really taking advantage of it, possibly because they just don't like the Braum pick itself. There are so many tank supports that also were really good at engage, and Braum's not one of them. If you have Sejuani, then it's great. But let's see how easy this kind of fight is for Snake.
Ooh, iBoy forced the Duke back into Crystal here, and Guoguo is teleporting into fight. This is for sure a dead iBoy and our first kill of the game. Though he heals away, has to force the flash from Crystal. Mako trapped inside the cataclysm, but he just kind of waddles out of there. There's still first blood over to Crystal.
Yeah, they thought they could get the second kill for Mako. Wasn't going to happen, but they still get the kill on iBoy. So still smart TP at the end of it. They don't lose too much as well because Ray is still walking back to base, or at least from base to the lane. So really good point for the team.
Yeah, good stuff. And again, starting on the right foot for Snake. I mean, again, this is against EDG. Like, this isn't against just some run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-pack team.
Yeah, but it just feels like whenever Snake goes up against EDG, they play up. They start playing a lot smarter early on in the game. Flandre is contesting the Raptors or is covering for mid. There's just so much happening early on in the game that you don't necessarily see from Snake earlier on in this year.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the issues last game was just not being able to close forever, and then EDG getting scarily to that point where they might just win a team fight. And again, you're in a situation where they have a massive scaling team composition where you have Gangplank, you got Azir, and Cogmore. So we could get to another situation where EDG are able to stall, but for now, I mean, that's a long ways in the future, and Snake have done very well.
Yep, I mean, stalling is always an option when there's Azir on the map. We've seen enough of that in the last day, can't even say 2 days, literally just yesterday. It's made me pretty sad whenever I see when Azir's on the map. So I just hope that that's not the case. We're 9 minutes in, so we don't have to worry about that.
And SWF, it feels like he's just gotten the perfect game. You know, when you cheese the jungle at level 1, and you get triple buff, and then you just continue to destroy the enemy jungler. He's 2 levels ahead of Haru. He hasn't even got level 6 yet. This guy is so far behind even Mako in terms of levels.
Yeah, and it's an incredible advantage, but you have to start using it, because if you don't really use it for anything, if you don't push for an advantage, if you don't start really making map plays, a good example is going top lane, getting a dive off. That would be a great way to pull Haru's attention. Otherwise, Haru's going to take this opportunity to start farming. That's the worst case scenario, essentially.
We also had Hootie because he was pushing up in lane, able to contest the vision there. More importantly, the crab. That would have been level 6 for Haru as well. So yeah, you're right that SWFM needs to do something, but in the meanwhile, Haru is just having a bad day.
That's true. I think SWFM does have an option. Well, he has a ton of options, just because we talked about him possibly going towards a damage build.
Yep.
He's in fact going towards a tank build instead, which is a good thing, just because there's enough damage on the team as is, and it makes it easier for him to look for dives, be a lot more riskier in a lot of cases, just because he knows that Guoguo and Flandre, on their picks, respectively, will be able to just follow up.
SWFM, I was wondering whether he would go towards that dragon right there, but he is looking towards the mid lane and scout. Comes in with the Cataclysm, but is knocked away by the Emperor's Divide, so trades ultimates there. Top lane, Ray is getting completely obliterated, is able to trade some damage back on towards Flandre.
Now, this is excellent coming in from Flandre, but know that Ray still has his stopwatch, which is going to make this possibility of diving him all the harder. One thing going back to what SOFM did mid lane is that he shouldn't have just went for an ulti immediately just because you have to wait for Azir to go for his EWQ, just like his slide away first before you use your ulti. That's his one getaway. And if you use it while he still has the getaway maneuver, then it's pretty useless. Oh, here we go.
Back onto the Raptors. Hello, Haru, but he's now level 6. It looks like he has evolved his ultimate as well, so he's able to at least contest these camps. But, oh, early smite from SOFM. Haru gets his revenge.
Unlucky. But still contesting Raptors, still getting a lot of them. That's all that matters. Some people would be wondering why Haru didn't go all in on him. He's not going to have isolation just because the Raptors are right there. So that's unfortunate for him. But as long as he just relaxes and just starts farming up, he already has a good pathing with or at least Wolf Camp towards Grump, so he can take that. I don't know about this TP,
This
though.
is a risky TP from Ray. SOFM's right there, flagged right. They're going to launch right on top of him, but there's the perfect timing. Out from the stopwatch, clears out the minion wave. Ray still trying to protect on this one. They're running out of minions very quickly. Another wave is now coming in. Ray is actually holding up somehow in this 1 versus 2 defense.
Yeah, Ray's a god, but now we have to look towards Haru. He's making the best out of the opportunity.
Yeah, he has to make something happen on the bottom side. Crystal is split currently, doesn't get the isolation damage now, and it's again blocking the ultimate from Mako. Braum is so good into Ornn.
Yeah, really solid. I love the pick. I mean, Braum, we've seen it a little bit in the Demacia Cup, and we've name-dropped that tournament quite a bit, but the few picks that you do see in the Demacia Cup would just be Braum into Ornn just because of how naturally you just cut out a whole bunch of his CC off of his ulti.
And yes, he does have to use the Unbreakable backwards, which is not ideal. It's still stopping an entire ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, that's his main reliable way of getting knockouts. If you're not in front of a wall, he's not gonna use his E on you. He's not gonna dash right towards you. So what else is he gonna do? Throw a dinky trundle pillar? No. The man is useless after that. Not completely.
But mostly. But not
Mostly,
really.
yeah.
But he doesn't have his ultimate, is what we're trying to say. Ray is gotten to the point where the laners are just have to try and contest these buffs and just take it for themselves now because SOFM's gonna turn up. If you don't take it, SOFM's coming back and he will probably try and take it from you.
Yeah, I love the challenge that he's doing constantly. That being said, just look where the next focus is going to be for Snake because this game is moving rather quickly. Yeah. With the top lane being taken, GP does have to push out that top lane immediately, like as fast as possible, just to force Jace back towards the lane, because he's constantly looking mid, and you don't want that happening. Sure, you have an Azir in the mid lane that can push you off the turret, but if you have enough members, that's a dive. That's an easy dive. So I like the fact that GP is doing that, but that also just puts him in a position where he has to get kind of denied a wave or two.
At some point, Dragon's going to become a thing as well. No jungler has actually tried to take it yet, despite it being the Mountain Dragon. And SOFM is around the area. They've constantly had vision control around here as well. They just haven't gone towards it just yet. Now, some players are starting to mobilize.
Yeah, good control wards being placed here. It just comes down to options at this point because they want the waves cleared before they go towards the dragon.
Yeah.
Bottom lane is still constantly getting pushed in on them, so Crystal's pushing it out first, but once he finally gets the next wave in, I'm sure then they would have the opportunity.
Uh-oh, indeed. Hoodie taking a bit of damage here, but he's able to jump back using Stand Behind Me.
Thankfully, he didn't take too much damage, but now they have to really worry about this dragon. If EDG just started right now, Crystal is not in the right position. You know what? I guess they're just not in the position at all because they're looking towards blue. So that would have been a great opportunity for EDG to just force it.
Now, not going to be the case, however. Flandre, he's walking into the mid lane, misses the Shock Blast, and Scout will just slide out safely.
The man is just a late-night robber. Like, he keeps trying. He makes the attempt time and time again. Sure, that wasn't a successful one, but you know every time he pushes that wave top lane, he's just checking up on you.
It's always a threat that he could just join a fight, join a skirmish at any point in time. Mako and iBoy doing a lot of damage to Hoodie, though. He has to bring up the Unbreakable, and iBoy will just kill him in the 2 versus 2. And now there is no Braum to stop the ram coming through. And Crystal has to flash the wall.
I'll say right now, this is when you press tab, you look at iBoy and realize that he has a lot of attack speed, he has a lot of damage. He's got his one item power spike. Quincy's rage plays is a lot. Why are you taking a fight up against that?
This gives the opportunity now for EDG to go onto the Mountain Dragon, and they'll take this one away. We'll see what the next one's going to be. Looks like another Mountain Dragon.
Okay. That's going to have a lot of value. Now that kind of gives EDG one opening in this game where they can look to the next dragon and kind of force Snake's hand. Because Snake kind of want to utilize Jace for split pushing maneuvers. He's already getting towards a Dusk play. Sure, he's okay in teamfights because he has good poke, but if you start pushing them away from the top lane, suddenly Ray's going to have some freedom to farm and just slow the pace of the game down with the next dragon, that could be a good opening for EDG.
I mean, the concern right now is the fact that iBoy is significantly ahead of Crystal in terms of farm, and he's completed his Quincy's Rage Blade, so they get into those fights. He'll be doing a lot more damage than the Vayne is until she starts completing that second item here.
Yep, I mean, he doesn't have his Wit's End just yet. Or Runan's Hurricane. Really don't know what that next one's going to be. Should be Wit's End.
Yep.
But ultimately, at this point, iBoy is a massive threat. And I would just kind of wonder who's going to be the one to take him down. It should still be Crystal once he gets his Infinity Edge. A lot of the interaction between the two AD carries is just Crystal sitting on side lane and looking to kind of get on top of the Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Just because you went out in the duels. And in team fights, you have the opportunity to look for flanks, which is really good for the Vayne. Historically, that's been a major thing with Vayne versus Kog'Maw in the LPL.
Yeah.
Is that you can find these dragon team fights, these open-ended team fights where you can get a good flank off, you can immediately take down iBoy, or at least Kog'Maw in general.
Haru is finally catching up. And I say catching up, but he's still 2 levels down on SOFM, who is still taking everything away from him in terms of camps. But it hasn't really culminated in too much more than that. Just Haru is not really feeling it right now, but the rest of the lanes have done absolutely fine. Scout is farming up. Top lane has done his best to try and defend against the onslaught that Flandre has been throwing up there.
Yeah, a lot of the credit goes towards Scout here, just because he's, I mean, by default, playing Azir, holding mid lane, where most mid laners would have lost that tower by now. Snake have slowed down just a little bit just because they haven't taken the Rift Herald at all, and so they have no way of taking mid lane turret. They've lost the dragon, and now, like, what are they going to do now? Bottom lane's losing. They need to force a fight. They need to force a position. They just find they find it hard in doing so.
Yeah. But they need to break it open in some way here.
It has to be Rift Herald. I'm not gonna lie, it literally has to be Rift Herald. Unless they have the
minute
gusto
left,
to go
yeah.
go mid lane and just try and dive. Otherwise, a lot of the roams that Jace has been doing goes to waste.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to mobilize in time, though. Bot lane gets cleared out by Gangplank.
Yeah.
But no one is moving towards the area, so it looks like it's just going to despawn at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I will. So at this point, it should just be either bottom lane turret, which they're doing a good job of that,
Yeah.
being able to clear that out. But Rhea has insight, knowing that SOFM is contesting vision, meaning he wants to look for this turret. So EDG, top side of the map, I think they already have a good look. It's really smart from them so far.
Yep, Scouts there already. Mako will be able to support from the sidelines, and Flandre can't really step up to the tower right now. Bot lane will fall from Snake. They'll continue pushing. Roach should be able to clear out the next mini wave, and it's a 1-for-1 trade cross map. Aru, you don't have long on this. You only have... No, there's no way they'll get it.
We're going to
No
find
way.
out. It's going to be hilarious.
Impossible.
Let's see. They're really confident. They're trying for it. They're bringing in
They
the
are
Azir.
trying. It's gonna despawn.
They're bringing in the Kog'Maw. No, they think they've got this.
Oh, they did! Oh, just in time. Literally 1 second left. I cannot believe they managed to get that. That is insane.
The call on that one. Let's waste 20 seconds because I am certain.
We can take it in time.
And they do it.
Wow. Isolation damage from Kha'Zix getting the eye exactly on time every single time.
I'm sorry I
impressive.
doubted them.
Yeah, me too, to be honest. But that's going to last forever. Like, that is literally the last second you could get it. So if they want to do, they could place it down in like 24 minutes.
Oh yeah, if it was the old Rift Herald where you just become super powerful, just kind of your own as the game goes on.
Oh,
That's a high value Rift Herald.
That was the 10-minute thing. Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah, this Rift Herald now. I don't know if I see much value in having it late.
Yeah.
Sure, it's still nice to have.
I don't know, I've seen some plays where teams will try and contest Baron, and then they'll place it down while taking Baron.
Oh yeah, that's
and then
fair.
it's just like, well, you have to either do a Vuz or do the Herald that's already to one of your lanes.
That's actually fair. It's like having a Yorick, except you don't have to actually pick the useless pick.
Now that's a lie.
I just
there.
dug right into
He
one
is
of your
very good
champions.
into Vladimir and only Vladimir right now.
What do you play right now? Not Yorick.
No, not Yorick. Yorick will find his time. He was being played in one of the smaller regions, but nah, unfortunately not for now. But I have enough of my champions at the current meta. I can deal with no Yorick.
Okay. The 2 champion strategy.
The 2. Hey man.
Okay, 3. There's misfortune.
Yeah. Hold nothing against 2 tricks or 1 tricks. And again, SOFM contesting this brush.
So the next dragon's going to be a bit of a focus, which is why I'm kind of surprised J4 is starting to dig into vision on the top side of the map. It should be bottom side, just because you still have an angle on mid lane, but at the same time, you can actually look to quickly take up dragon.
Yeah.
They're doing it now. This is a small criticism, just a minuscule one. most useless vision you have towards topside.
It's worth saying though, because it is the nitpicky points that are worth mentioning when you're EDG or Snake, honestly, in this situation. Because for both teams, this matters. Like EDG should be taking the set if they want to stay at the top of the leaderboard, right? Like they should be at the top of their group. And Snake, like if they pick this would be monumental for them, honestly, beating EDG. But they would have to continue to do that against other teams because it's like you were saying earlier, Raz. I feel like they do always play up against the top teams, and then sometimes we see these upsets, like last split when Snake randomly beat WE, and like, hang on, what? What?
They trick you, man. They really do. They trick you into thinking great stuff is happening. And I'm not here to kind of talk the fans down because they are talented players, and I really do believe at some point it'll click. It will start to work. Maybe now is that time. But you can see it in this game. You can see it in the last game. Snake are starting to play up. They're starting to play to a patient level, which is very appreciative. I mean, I know the coach is definitely appreciative of that.
Yeah, 100%. And the dragon has been taken this time by Snake. So it's one Mountain Dragon apiece. The next one will be Infernal. So both teams will want to try and contest this one. Baron Vision as well, just being taken out there by Mako. Harrow just clearing that bottom side. How are we doing? Harrow checking. He's only one level behind now, so it's starting to even out. SWFM is still 45 in front of him though.
Yeah, and at this point I would say, I wonder where Haro is going to utilize, or at least place his Rift Herald. That's going to be important.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time,
It's not long left.
Yeah, I know, right? Snake's point of vision right now should just be towards Baron. If this control is happening now, if you look towards Haro, if he places it towards the bottom side, that might have a really good play for the team to play towards Baron. It'll kind of suck for Ray because he won't get any CS, so that's why they won't do it. So I wonder if they're going to place it mid. Place it mid, go towards the Baron, start clearing out vision. That would be a good strategy. That'd be a decent way to use it.
Yeah, pretty much Vision is the name of the game right now. It's going to take away this. Goodbye. Flandre's back to bot lane, just being a thorn in Ray's side, and we actually placed it at, I don't know actually, mid lane?
Yeah,
I want to say mid lane.
Yeah. Well, here comes the long trek.
There's a lot of frantic pings going down from EDG. It feels like EDG either forgot about it or just couldn't find a situation to use it, but it definitely left their mind.
There wasn't really a situation where they can use it. They're definitely going to use it in the way I said, where just put it in the mid lane. You're not going to get a tower with it unless if this man goes beast mode.
It's not going to be a whole lot because they managed to dent it just before it went for the charge. Just didn't even get the second swing off.
I think they're committing too much to mid lane. They might get it and surprise me. Yeah, actually they'll surprise me.
I just feel like you should have just placed it down in bottom lane, even from base.
Maybe. But I think I think the strategy going for mid lane was fine. They just all committed to it. So now they'll just be contested towards
Baron. SWFM has jumped in on top of Mako. He's going to get knocked up, but look at the backline. Ray and knocked away by Flandre, but he's the one under fire right now. Mako has to walk it back, and Flandre stays in to try and assist, but Ray's coming in there with the parlay. Good block in from Braum. Almost certainly would have been Flandre's life, and Mako and Ray low. They will have to back off.
Really good challenge from Snake. Nobody dies, obviously, but Mako is incredibly low and may give Snake an opportunity to move towards Baron. Might not take it. Wait, actually, wait a minute. Hold on just a second. They're going for it.
They have. I mean, obviously EDG know they're on it right now because SWFM was hitting the wall at the back of the pit. It's already down to half. Haro over the wall. He has Smite. He has the flash. He has everything available to look for the steal, but it's way too late. SWFM turns on back towards Haro. He's going to get destroyed by Crystal. Going to be taking half the team out with him, but SWFM, he didn't get to the dropship in time, and the team is left without him.
But really good play from Snake. They got the team fight. They only chunked one member in Mako, and that was it for them. They immediately moved to the Baron. That was incredibly smart from Snake. Well done. Free Baron from them.
I mean, this is actually realistically becoming a possible 2-0 here from Snake. Midtown will finally fall, so based off the back of that play from the Herald, but with the Baron now, onus is definitely on Snake.
Yeah, and it's not even one of those crazy 2-0s where we came into this thinking, it'll be mechanics, it'll be crazy skirmishes, much like they had in the FPX set. No, this is just...
They're just winning.
They're winning the game because they're smarter. As we look into this one, you can just take a look at the mini-map. There's no way, shape, or form the members of EDG are going to be here on time. That's basically it. They were just hoping Haro would come in for a steal. He's done it before. But out of that, I mean, that's all you really had. That was all you had hope for. at the very least, iBoy takes a kill.
Yeah, and that was only because he was a millimeter away from the realm warp. Like, I actually thought he was inside it, but got left behind, unfortunately. So it was a very good chance SOFM would have survived that, but still, 1 kill. EDG will take it. There's going to be 4 kills in this game. Infernal starting in 2 minutes, but Snake, I want to see them get out onto the map, and that's exactly what they're doing with Flandre in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's why I love the fact that you pointed that out. 4 kills, 26 minutes in, and it's Snake versus EDG. Snake, we believe it would be skirmish, skirmish, fight, 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 skirmish, skirmish to be able to get themselves a win. They haven't really even got a team fight. No. So this is really great play coming in from Snake. They still need to take this damn outer turret. I mean, I can't really judge until they take this turret down, but they're doing it now.
Trying.
Yeah.
I mean, the thought process is there. So regardless of if they take it or not, they are doing the right things. And to be honest, in game 1, like I was talking to Frox, and it's like they are doing the right thing. It's just either mistimed or it didn't work out or mechanics weren't there, but they are making the right plays, and that's something you could almost never say about Snake.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that about them last year, but historically, nah, right?
Yeah.
Because last year I would be like, oh, they have the theory down. The theory just never comes to fruition. Like,
okay.
Like, the thing with Snake is like first 10 minutes looks pretty good, but then they're off the rails. This time around, that rail is looking pretty damn solid. Like, they've been building that for about 10 years.
But now we're looking at the mid game, right? Because you're 100% right that, like, in the first 10 minutes, it was great. It's just like you watch any other top team, and Snake would probably fit in the same caliber as that. But it's towards the mid game when they just lose their heads or don't have a playbook for the mid game. But we are 28 minutes into the game. This is the definition of mid game.
And they have multiple heads. Just take a look at how many wards they've placed in this blue side jungle. How many control wards they placed in this blue side jungle. It's actually... I would love to see what EDG sees. Like, what's their vision? Because I'm trying to look for their red wards, and I see
many.
I see one at the red side jungle.
One in
Someone
the mid
might
lane.
want to, replace that
There's
one.
a random one at top lane, which Ray probably placed at 5 minutes into the game.
Ray, I know your coach is probably just looking at that one right now. Where's your control wards, buddy? That's it.
Yep. And Snake will turn back towards the Dragon because they have complete control with the bottom side. There's no Baron up right now. They have a little bit left of their Baron buff. They could take this tower off the back of that.
So they can take this tower. You can see where Woko is. He could push this one in and kind of threaten the mid lane turret as well. They're choosing to base right now. That's a pretty surprising option because usually they just try and push it to the limit.
Yeah.
Try and say, okay, well, we had Gogo mid. He's already pushing in a massive wave. Let's keep going until our Baron is done. This time around, they're like, well, actually, let's just buy items.
I think it's just because their Baron literally just wore off. As we saw to Gogo, his just timed out, so
that's fair.
It might have been the reason. But yeah, I do agree with you. It's like, why don't you just give it a shot, at this point? Like, we're already here, so.
Another thing, too, SOFM is building properly. Last game, he had a really early frozen heart, but here's a team fight, or at least an attempt at one.
Hoodie with great block there. I don't think they were expecting Brom just to rock up to this fight. But yeah, SOFM, he's not gone for his classic Athenes and Holy Grail on tank junglers.
Because last game, he went for a super early frozen heart. And I was just like, wait, I mean, I understand you have, you cut the attack speed of the Azir, a little bit of Ezreal, though he probably doesn't care too much about the attack speed itself. And you just need health, man. This time around, he's actually just building towards the health early. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, SOFM. From us to you. Wow, another Infernal Dragon coming up next for Snake. We've got a lot of Infernals today. Haru, again.
Oh, no.
I mean, you gotta know he's in that.
Yes!
Just the 180.
This is what I love about Kha'Zix in red side jungle. The way the bushes are placed, you can actually there's a path where you can just walk around red side jungle
and stealth all the time.
And you're never in vision. With blue side, it's actually pretty difficult because of the bush that's in the blue buff area.
Right.
It's like really hidden. So if you try and reach for that one, you're actually gonna have a tough time. But yeah, red side jungle, you're literally on a journey and no one sees you.
That is hilarious. We very much have identified that's SOFM's bush. Like, if it didn't have a name before, we have one now.
Oh, 100%. 1,000%. SOFM loves that bush. You sit in that bush 9 out of 10 times. The other 10 times, probably have Baron.
Yep. And speaking of, Baron's coming up in 90 seconds, so Snake will probably want to get vision around that area because it's now starting to time out. I just saw a control ward go down defensively in the bottom side, taking it away from Baron.
All right, as we're talking Snake up a lot because of the gold lead that they have. Remember that it's 30 minutes into the game and it's only 2k gold lead. It's also GP, Azir, and Kog'Maw on the map, and iBoy probably doesn't even know that they're losing the game.
Oh, Ray, very overextended. Crystal comes out there with a massive Shiv proc.
And I don't think EDG can get anything out of this in the mid lane. They actually immediately base, so Snake putting the resources to killing Ray, nothing comes from it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no objective up. There's no Baron. There's no Dragon. Mid lane is already being held.
Yeah, and it's a good timing too. 30 seconds left on the death timer. Snake can immediately just walk towards Baron and take that control.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, Ray just shouldn't be there. I mean, he's been farming for a long while. He's level 16 now, but it means his death time is very long. The fact he's such a high level so early on, it was 50 seconds.
Yeah, and even though we were talking about this new look for EDG with Ray in the top lane, Haro in the jungle, I really do wonder what the communication is like. I understand that Mako is their primary leader, but in the old iteration, just like last year's iteration of EDG, you had Clear Love as a communicator. You had Mouse, who's a really stable top laner who would play those tanks and understand where he needed to be a really strong team fighter. This time around, a lot of those elements are missing or gone. They have to be restructured, so you can see a lot of the hurting pains of that.
For sure. I mean, ultimately, that didn't really mean too much. It was a kill on the bottom side. He'll just go back towards his team now, but it's those small mistakes that can, in theory, turn into other objectives that happens at any other time.
Let's go.
For a fight right here. Mako's being knocked up, and in comes SOFM. He completely destroys Scout. Doesn't even get to play this team fight. Mako's already fallen. And Haru, he's trying to stealth up, but Crystal goes all the way in, and this Vayne pick is so massive right now. iBoy has no peeling. 4 kills to Snake, and they've barely taken the scratch.
And the screeching you hear, that's the audience chanting Crystal's name. The man just went deep.
I actually don't know how much they can take off this. I think this is going to be a lot. Ray is the only one to defend, but he is getting planked. That's going to help them out, but this will be at least an inhibitor.
Nah, that's a wave. That's 30 seconds on multiple death timers. If I know Snake, they're trying to end this game.
They will try and take some of these Nexus turrets. Ray is probably the perfect person to be here, but that barrel did not do as much damage as they really wanted it to. If they get a beat on Ray right here, if he dies right here, they could end the game. He's going to fall to Rise. They take 2 Nexus turrets, and oh my god, Rise! Snake are going to take the 2-0 over Edward Gaming.
And you hear the horn, the horn more like it. You look at the audience. Snake have got their first win in Chongqing.
Absolutely unreal. Snake, that is a home field advantage for them. The 2-0 over EDG, that's unheard of.
Yeah, no one's gonna remember the whole meme or something about losing in your own home stadium. They just beat EDG against their home crowd.
I don't know how they do it, you know? Even last year when we can definitely say they were in a slump, this year I'm not even sure anymore, but they just win games sometimes, and not even just barely like a 2-1, a 2-0. They did it over WE, now they've done over EDG. Like, I don't know why this happens, but they just play up and they look like a completely different team.
They look sick. I mean, we can't even like have that, being hard on Snake all too much, just because I would say immediately this is the first time that I look at Snake and say that they have a really stable roster.
Yeah.
That they have a stable bottom lane, they have a stable mid lane. Like, everything seems to be going well. Obviously, it's just week 1. But that just means it's a beginning of a new journey. It's like they have their new audience, they're in a new city, obviously, new roster, kind of. And Crystal, even though he's the old name for the roster, he looks like that he's taking some names.
But it's the way that they run, the way that they won for me, right? Because we were hyping up, and it's like if they win, it'll be through micro plays, it'll be through them getting picks, that type of thing. But that's not how they won right there. They won because they outsmarted EDG and made a lot of good plays across map.
Yeah, and that's one of those whole trust the process type deals, because there is a whole lot of trusting the fans had with the team, just because we were trying to figure out what needed to change for this team, and it looks like they recognized that it just needed to be the patience.
Yeah, well, we didn't get to be here for too long, but that's it from the Rush Hour Duo. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk to break down that series.
Thank you very much, Pulse and Raz and Clement. Before we start breaking down that series, come on. Early on in today, Pulse and Rusty, making fun of Raz, throwing out the BM. We defended him. And now he's defected over to the casting table. I don't know what to think about this. He immediately goes on and starts BMing us. What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. Raz is a strange person.
Disappointing. But enough about that. Let's get into the breakdown of that series. Snake pick up the 2-0 victory over Edward Gaming in their home arena in Chongqing. And I know one thing you really want to speak about is how Flandre pretty much effectively five bans thrown towards him in game number 2.
Yeah, EDG had a really interesting draft phase where they banned out Vladimir, Camille, Gnar, and then proceeded their first red side rotation with picking up GP and Ornn. They really wanted Flandre to have nothing to play, and Flandre still had that one last card in his hand. Now, I was really suspect about Snake winning this game because I feel like they were pinched extremely hard on 2 positions. One was the top lane where they took out 5 of his champions, and the other one was the was Crystal's champion pool, where they put him on a Vayne on Vayne, where I don't think you have that many good matchups into Kog'Maw. You don't really have a time where you really outshine the Kog'Maw pick. So looking at this, I was like, how are they going to get wins here? And I think what's most remarkable about this game is that for the longest period of time, Snake actually held the kill count to 2 and 2. So they weren't winning by the same way they were doing in game 1 and having these huge team fight wins. They were actually spreading the map out and, you know, going slow. And I feel like for EDG, their problem was that they didn't really have a engage of any sort. So the only way that they could actually win this fight was they were either going to turn a siege on the high ground, or they were going to set up around Barons or Dragons first. And I felt like they didn't really manage to do anything. A lot of it came down to the duels between Sofem and kind of Haro, and we could see that Haro was not winning those duels. So Sofem got a lot more map control.
And SOFM was playing the jungle really well. You know, he was able to deny Haro a lot of minions. I believe at one point in time during the cast, Pulse said for the past 2 minutes, Haro had not picked up a single camp for 2 minutes, while SFM was 2 levels ahead. Man of the match goes over to Crystal. You were worried about his champion before he picked up the Vayne, played it very safe, very calm, did not die once at all. 5-0-3. And going back to that point about initiation, I mean, we saw them try to initiate with Vaughn, but the Braum pick kind of stopped that every single time.
Yeah, Hudie was is really known for doing this. It's an interaction we've seen all the way back from Demacia Cup, and here he is again pulling that off. I'm still worried about the Vayne. I'm like, I know Vayne's very popular in terms of a solo queue pick, but if you think about her power spikes, the way Vayne is played now is that she's a triple crit builder instead of a Ginsu Rage Play Vayne. So in terms of power spike, you get that point where Kog'Maw is going to be stronger with you with his item build, spike earlier, and we can see that in EDG picking up the early dragons for them. So I mean, I feel like Snake is just a tremendous victory for them. The best part about it is that they were actually able to drag the map out and not just constantly go for fights that they were on 50-50 about. And when they did go for the winning fight, I felt it was so clean. It was basically Jarvan waiting in a brush, Ryze teleporting to the back, and we really have to look out for Guoguo on his Ryze on his Ryze. I feel like that has been his best champion, and it also serves the purpose of Snake getting a very good engage on the enemy team. So that is a pick to look out for on this person. And
we're looking at SOFM time and time again as well. Not only was he the MVP of game number 1, but he shut down Haro in game 2. He started off that play, the game-winning team fight in game number 2 to win the game, so to speak, for Snake. Set up Crystal for success as well, and he's been performing really well for Snake ever since Demacia Cup.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a new guy. You know, we've seen these problems with the Snakes in their players like Flandre and Sofa, and they would say 3 years back I was only playing this game to get high, like to get the highs out of the game. You know, don't take that wrong. And now they're coming in with this new narrative. It's more about the team. We really want to find success. Potential for us is a word in the past. We want to realize that, and this is what they're gonna be looking like going forward, and congratulations to them taking down EDG.
Unfortunately, they were not able to take down FunPlus Phoenix in their opening, but taking down a giant like EDG is a tremendous victory for Snake Esports. For now, although this is day 6, week 1 of the LPL, and it comes to the conclusion of week 1, tomorrow is week number 2, and we have even more LPL action. Tomorrow we have 2 games to be played, and first up is going to be Rogue Warriors taking on Suning Gaming, as well as TOP Esports going up against Jindong. Those will start at 5 o'clock local time in Shanghai and will be broadcasted out of the Shanghai Super Brand Mall Arena.
Yeah, more of the newcomers of the league butting heads right now. I'm really on the Jingdong hype train. I think Yagao has done really well. I know this team so well because I buy all my furniture and my underwear from this site. It's one of the biggest sites in China, so I feel personally invested in the team's success. Go Jingdong.
Don't worry. Ever since we Aussies have come over here, that's pretty much the website we have used to save our lives multiple times. I'm going to be really excited to be watching Suning Gaming playing tomorrow because they've been playing really well. Excited to see them in the first match of the day. But that's all from us here today. On behalf of Clement, the rest of our analysts and all the casters, as well as our entire production team, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.